Well, hello funky doodlers, my name is Kieran Siemens and this is the drawing channel where we learn to draw in a nice calm pace, a nice calm safe environment. So today I've got a lesson all about the secret of drawing hands. So many people have written to me and said, I don't know how to draw a hand. I'm struggling with drawing hands. Can you help? And the answer to that is yes, of course. As funky doodlers, we need to learn all these secrets, all these mystical, difficult things that are difficult to draw. We need to find the easy way to do it. We need to learn today to draw hands. Are you ready? Get your pen. Get your paper, because we're going to do some funky doodling. Welcome back to the Funky Doodler Club, where we are going to get into some hands today. We're going to get into all those mysteries, all those secrets, all those fears of drawing a hand. Why? I don't know why everybody's so afraid of drawing hands. Is it because there's so many little digity bits to them? So we're going to get into some basic rules and basic formats and basic ways of thinking about hands. So let's throw that over there. And we're going to get into some things about a hand. Now, in most cases with cartoon hands, lots of people will draw a hand with a big ball as the base of it, which is this part. A big ball, okay? Just imagine that as a ball. And from it, we've got fingers. Now, most cartoons, they do 3 fingers, okay? So we're going to be drawing a hand that looks something like that for the cartoon, okay? And what we're going to do is that we are going to draw a little circle shape in there, which is kind of like this part here where the thumb is. And off in this direction, we're going to draw a thumb. And then off in this direction, we're going to draw some fingers. Okay, so we've got our circle and we are going to draw a big sausage. Okay, just a big sausage, doesn't matter if it's a skinny sausage or a fat sausage. And then once we've done that, it's pointing up, we're going to do on the opposite direction almost, we're going to draw some fingers. And we're just going to draw a sausage back to the circle and then draw another sausage and then back and then another sausage and back. Okay, so that's the basic form of a hand. And you can do the proportions. You can do a smaller circle, you can do longer sausages, you can do a smaller circle, and you can do some longer fingers like so, longer sausages. And that is basic of how we are putting a hand together. Now, don't get too worried about all the measurements. I see so many people on there. Don't forget the thumb that's coming off the other way. Now, I see so many people that are doing all this kind of measuring and don't worry too much about it. At this stage, don't worry about drawing all these measurements and that is 1/3 of this and this is 1/5 of that and whatever else. Don't worry about it. Don't need it. At this point, we're just simplifying down the image of a ball for a hand and sausages for fingers. Simplifying down these will give you great ideas. It'll be great. What about a fist? A fist is just a bigger ball, you know. So if you're to draw a ball and you draw your thumb that's going to stick out to the side, we are basically going to be, maybe you could see it as a pancake. The hand is like a pancake and we are folding that pancake over. Maybe we've got some nice delicious chocolate or something in there. You know what I mean? And you've got a long pancake and you're just bending it over. So You could do that in the same way that you are kind of bending this over. You're bending this around. And then from that shape you can do 1, 2, and 3. And obviously you've got your wrist there, so you're kind of giving that thumbs up or thumbs up like that, okay? Now, if you start to think about things as being pancakes that bend over, or a ball with some sausages stuck on, if you start to simplify things down, you can have a lot of fun with hands. You could have a hand that was going to be pointing. So you've got one sausage that's sticking out, and all the other sausages are bending around like that. They're just bending over like a pancake. And there you just bend that around. And again, don't worry about if your fingers are all different sizes. Doesn't matter at this point. It's just about practicing it and having fun, building up your confidence about what a hand looks like. And maybe the thumb, maybe we don't want the thumb up, maybe we want the thumb to come down. Well, you can just bend that sausage like that. And that gives us so much power then when we're starting to do our drawing. So if you wanted to draw a hand, I mean, most of the time in the cartoon side we draw just the 3 fingers, so it's nice and simple. So if you to draw, I don't know, what kind of hand position would you like? Would you like to have, maybe he's a bit scared, maybe he's like, like that. You could bend the sausages like that. Okay. And if you do that line in the middle, it kind of suggests the thumb is going to be over here. So that kind of gives us a very nice, simple way of drawing a hand. Maybe we've got a big fist, like he's fighting like that. And you could draw the same thing there, the same thing as we've done there. We can build the hand that's coming around, and we can just draw a nice sausage, and another sausage, and another sausage. And this time, instead of that thumb being sticking out, we're going to do it like tucking it in there, and we can just bend that sausage over, and it gives us a lovely feeling like that. Okay, so the same principles come across if you're going to have very long, thin fingers, or if you're going to be doing it into a pose. Maybe you want to be a hand that's going to be a little bit more like that type of thing. Again, if you look at the shape, the way it's like almost like this is kind of like a pancake bending over. You see? And if you start to draw it like a big bending over pancake, like that. If you start to draw it like a pancake, then most of the shape of that hand bending over is already done. And you can then divide this top part, and you can divide it into your finger sausages, like that. And again, with your thumb, it's nice to put that little line in there. It suggests you know more about the anatomy of a hand. And you can draw your thumb. Now, you can draw your thumb a little bit slightly different with a finger, because a finger is like a long sausage, but this has got a nice shape. A thumb has got a straight side almost, and then you've got a nice kind of round, curvy side on that. And that, if you can imagine it, is where our thumb looks like that. So slightly different construction there with the sausage fingers, just like that. And the thumb, you're going to go a little bit straight and then round there and then curve it, and it will look like a lovely thumb. Okay, so we can get into some really lovely things with hands. If hands are crossing over like that, the shaking hands, try and do it like two pancakes. Two pancakes. Can you imagine? It's probably easier to imagine a pancake than a pancake. So you could draw a nice big pancake, like so, and then another big pancake behind it, like that. And if you draw your fingers, your sausage shapes, 1, 2, 3, and you can bring your thumb in a little bit like that. Then you've got the other hand that's coming in there. So you've got the hand coming in and the sausages are coming around behind that, and it makes it look like you've got two hands that are crossing over. There's the thumb there. And it simplifies things down if you're starting to think about your hands as simpler shapes, simpler pancake shapes, or simpler balls with sausages. And that simplifying down is a really beautiful way to learn your hands. So what happens if you don't want to draw a ball? What happens if you want to draw a square hand? Well, the same principles will come across. The same principles will be, okay, you want to draw a square hand. Okay, so we're still going to put in our little line there, our little smiley shape, and we're going to stick our thumb off onto one side, and we're going to put our fingers on this side. So you'll have 1, 2, and 3. And it doesn't really matter if all the fingers are the same size or the same thickness, as long as you're having fun here and as long as you're practicing drawing your hand. And if you want to bend a finger, it's just like bending a sausage. Just like that. You can almost imagine that it's halfway. Okay? So, if you have any interactions between hands, maybe you've got something like that, you know, like someone's kind of just crossing their fingers into it. You can see that it's just two pancakes crossing over each other. Okay? So you can simplify that down again. So you've got your pancake hand, which is basically a ball with an extension to it, and the other hand is going to be crossing over it. So draw your other pancake coming in like that. So if you're simplifying down your shapes, you can pretty much draw anything. Simplifying things down. Don't get too complicated about all the joints and all the bones and all the meat and all the muscles, and don't worry about that at this point. It's more fun to do it the cartoon way. So there's your one sausage, and then you got the other sausages coming through there. So you're going to draw that sausage, keeping it simple. Then the next sausage is going to be something like that. And then the next sausage is the one coming through. You can see what we're doing? And you're drawing your sausage coming through. And then that sausage is the last sausage, the last finger. And you've got 1, 2, and then your final sausage from that pancake hand underneath. And there is our shape, and our thumb will be over under here. And what it does, just shading those in so you can see the difference between them. And there's your thumb over there. Now, because we're simplifying down those shapes into pancakes, it seems like your mind is simplifying the shapes down to make things very, very simple. And the more that you simplify anything down, any complicated drawing, if you see a cow and you want to draw a cow, simplify your shapes down and you will find that drawing it becomes masterful. Drawing it becomes a fun adventure, okay? And that's what we want from our drawing. We want it to be fun. So if someone says, can you draw a hand like this? Of course you can, because you're going to start thinking, well, it's not a skeleton, it's not with bones, it's not with meat and muscles and skin and fingernails. You're going to start simplifying it down to that's like when my dad cooks pancakes. It's just like a pancake. Pancake bends over and it's simplifying everything down. Okay? Now, if you really start to get better into hands have got this magical thing about, what happens if I don't want to draw a cartoon hand? I want to draw a four-finger. A four-finger hand is a little bit more complicated. But there's formats for it. If you watch the way that people draw, usually they will draw their ball for their hand. And what they will do is they will make it into a pose like this. So it's 1 and a 2 shape and a 3. Or you will find that they will do a 1 shape and a 2 shape, so that all the fingers are glued together or glued together in the middle or something similar. And they will do it because it's very difficult to draw all 4 fingers doing something. So in most people when they draw, or most people when they pose, you might find that someone is posing and you might find that those 2 fingers are stuck together and that and that. And it's a very nice pose. If I was to stand like that, it looks nice, doesn't it? Or if I was to stand natural like that, this finger is out and these fingers are all kind of stuck together. And any way I pose that hand, it looks nice. So the whole thing of keeping those fingers together is a magical secret. So we're going to do our finger, our sausage. There it is. And it's just stuck onto this ball of a hand that we've got. And we are going to draw a little bit of a fat shape, which is going to be our 2 fingers stuck together. Okay? And then we're going to be drawing our other finger underneath, our other sausage shape underneath. And what that is doing is that it's starting to get us into a feeling of thinking about doing things in shapes. And shapes is the magic. It's the secret of drawing. And there you have your thumb. And if you decide you wanted to do something a little bit more posed, something like that, with your 4 fingers, this is 4 fingers and this is 3 fingers, what we are going to do here is that we are going to draw our circle, our base of our hand, and we're going to stick these sausages on, and this time around we're going to stick 3 of them together, and we're going to put 1 that's a little bit loose and then our thumb. Okay, so we will draw our finger and we will draw a rough kind of shape, and inside that shape, is the 3 fingers. Now can you see that? We've gone from a shape into 3 complicated fingers. So that is a very, 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 very secretive way to be able to learn about doing 3 fingers and 4 fingers, about sticking some of them together. Do something. You'll see a lot of the manga cartoons. A lot of them are posed like that, or they are posed like 3 fingers and 1 finger. So, and it's a very, very, very common structure. So if you go to something like that, you'll see it's a bent pancake, but with 4 fingers onto it. Okay? So that's one of the very, very lovely things about. And there is a whole kind of learning curve for the anatomy of a hand. If you want to get a little bit later on, you want to kind of start to get into a little bit more kind of structure with a hand, and you want to start to kind of make more kind of correct shapes, if you wish to put it that way, and you want to divide your finger into all these bones. You've got a bone joint there, and you've got a joint there, so you're basically dividing your finger like that. So you've got that bone and that bone, there's that bone and that bone. Okay, and it's the same then if you want to do your four fingers. I would say your bone and your bone, and then your next finger, which is a little bit shorter, and you're drawing your bone and your bone, and then your little finger, which is again even smaller, and then your bone and your bone. And then all of a sudden you've got quite a realistic style building into your hand. That's a little bit more progression down the line. A little bit more if you want to draw realistic things, you'll start thinking about bones and joints. But for us at this point, balls and sausages and pancakes. Draw it as a pancake and you won't get lost. I assure you that if you start thinking about things in simpler shapes, you will have a very, 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 very beautiful experience with drawing. Now let me tell you about when I used to draw the panda. I used to draw little China, who's a purple panda. And one of the things that was very different about him was that he had these very thick fingers, like a paw. So it was very thick fingers. And the way I did that is I drew squares. Now, because it was a different character, because it was a different format, every time I drew little China, I would draw his fingers like big squares. So I'd draw a big square like that. And then I'd draw a big square like that. And then I'd draw another big square like that. And it gave me this lovely, big kind of paw fingers like an animal. And I would draw a big square thumb like that. And if you see the comic of the little China, you will be able to go through some of the drawings and you'll be able to see the hands are all big squares. So what I would do is inside I would draw a little circle and a little circle, and that would be the pads inside, and I'd draw a big circle there, big shape for his paw. And that is what I used to draw in the character for the panda. And again, very big thick fingers. And the same way, when you're turning that hand, you're basically instead of drawing a sausage, you're going to draw a square. Okay? So if you want to draw a hand that's coming out like that, you would draw a nice big thick square like so, and you draw the little circle pad inside, and then you would draw his squares that are kind of bending in, and then you'd have a lovely square pointing finger. And the same with that, it's a very square shape. And that's just about thinking about it slightly different, thinking about your character pose as squares like that. There's a bit of a bend there, obviously, to kind of make it look a little bit realistic. And then you draw your shapes inside, which are all the pads inside the bear's paw. And that would give you a very, very, very nice stylized hand in the character of a thick, chunky bear. So when I draw the panda, when I draw bears, I draw big, square, thick fingers and not long sausages. So there you have some very, 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 very basic but powerful learning about the hand and the way to draw the hand and the way to practice the hand. And you will soon be able to draw a hand with a nice ball and a big sausage sticking out, and a big sausage sticking out, and a big sausage, drawing our little circle and a thumb. And we have drawn a very beautiful hand. Very simple. You can draw the wrist and the arm. So, practice, practice, and a little bit more practice. How did you do with your hands today? Were you kind of squishy banana with it? Was it a little bit difficult and you need more practice? Or were you kind of cool pizza? You kind of got it all together? Or were you funky chicken and you got everything amazing? Let me know. Send me a message. Tell me how you got on with hands. Tell me if you had any difficulties with hands. Or tell me if you've been drawing your pancakes, circles, sausages, and maybe even you got on to draw some squares. Big chunky fingers. Let me know in the comments. I would love to know. And if you do some drawings and if you do some sketches, hashtag FUNKi DOODLER Club. And let me see what you've done. I would love to see what you've done. Okay, so I'll see you again very, very, very soon. Back on the FUNKi DOODLER Club. Very soon. Keep practicing. Bye-bye.